My brother borrowed my car, then secretly sold it. He didn't realize it was a company asset worth $14,000. Now he's begging me for help. I never thought I'd be writing one of those, "you wouldn't believe this happened," stories, but here we are. My brother and I have always had a rocky relationship, and what he did a few months ago feels like the final straw. For context, I, 32M, work for a mid-sized company where I've been for about 8 years. A few years back, my company gave me access to a car as part of my compensation package. It wasn't just my car, it's technically a company-owned vehicle registered under the business, but I was the sole user. I handled it like my own, but on paper, it was an asset valued at around $14,000. My younger brother, 29M, let's call him Ethan, has always been the type to get himself into trouble. He's charming, funny, and people usually give him the benefit of the doubt. But behind the scenes, he's irresponsible with money, constantly in debt, and always looking for the next shortcut. Over the years, he's borrowed from me countless times, money, tools, even my couch when his relationships blew up. And because I'm the responsible brother, I've bailed him out more times than I can count. This time, though, what he did was on another level. How it started. Back in May, Ethan came over saying his car broke down again. He asked if he could borrow mine for a few days until he figured things out. He played it like it was no big deal. "Bro, I just need it to get to work. I'll bring it back in a few days, promise." I hesitated because, 1, it wasn't really my car, and, 2, my boss made it very clear that I was responsible for it. But I didn't want to start a fight with Ethan, and he swore it would only be for a couple of days. Against my better judgment, I tossed him the keys. That was mistake number 1. The vanishing act. A week went by. No car. I called him, he dodged my calls. I texted, no response. Finally, after almost 10 days, I drove to his apartment, but the car wasn't there. When I finally cornered him at our parents' house, he looked me dead in the eye and said, "Oh, the car. Don't worry about it, man. I handled it." Handled it? Turns out, he sold the car. Yes. My brother sold a vehicle that didn't even belong to him. He found some buyer through a friend of a friend deal, forged some paperwork, and walked away with cash in hand. I thought he was joking at first. I literally laughed in disbelief. But when he didn't laugh back, I felt my stomach drop. The fallout. You know how when something so insane happens, your brain doesn't even process it. That's where I was. "Ethan, that wasn't my car," I said. "It was my company's asset. Do you have any idea what you've just done?" The color drained from his face. He genuinely didn't realize the car was under the company's name. He thought he was just pawning off my personal car for quick cash. When the reality hit him, he started stammering. "Wait, you're serious? It wasn't yours?" "Oh, *****. Bro, I didn't know. I swear I didn't know." But whether he knew or not didn't matter. The fact was, he sold a car worth $14,000 that didn't legally belong to him. My job on the line. The worst part? My company found out almost immediately. The car was registered as an asset, and when they noticed the insurance updates didn't go through, they called me in. Imagine sitting in your boss's office trying to explain that your own brother committed fraud with their property. I was mortified. I've built a solid reputation at this job, and in one reckless move, Ethan put it all in jeopardy. I had to come clean. I admitted what happened, promised I would cooperate, and agreed to take financial responsibility until things were sorted. Luckily, my boss knows I'm not a scammer. He gave me one chance. Recover the car or cover the loss. Confronting Ethan. When I confronted Ethan again, I expected remorse. Instead, he acted defensive. "It's not like I knew, man. Why would you let me borrow something like that if it wasn't even yours? You set me up. I nearly lost it. I reminded him that he stole and sold property that didn't belong to him. That's not a misunderstanding, that's a felony. Eventually, he admitted he sold it for way less than it was worth, around $6,000 cash. He blew most of it paying off gambling debts and some shady friends who had been pressuring him. By the time I got to him, the money was basically gone. So now, not only was I in hot water with my company, but my brother had nothing to give back. The begging. Here's where it gets unbelievable. After the fallout started catching up to him, the people he owed money to, the threats, the realization that I might involve the police, he had the nerve to come crawling back to me for help. He actually said, "You're the only one I can count on. If you don't help me, I'm screwed." The audacity. He put my career, my finances, and my future at risk, and then begged me to fix his mess. Where things stand now. I had two options. 1. Press charges against my own brother. 2. Try to quietly fix the mess myself. I chose a middle ground. I reported the situation to my company fully, told them my brother was the one who sold it, and gave them his information. They involved legal but decided not to press criminal charges as long as I helped cover the loss and provided proof that I wasn't complicit. Financially, this has crushed me. I had to drain my savings to cover part of the missing value. My company is working on recovering what they can, but I'm still on the hook. Meanwhile, Ethan's life is spiraling. The people he owes are after him. He's broke. He's scared. And he keeps begging me to bail him out one last time. I told him flat out. You stole from me. You risked my job. You put me in debt. I'm done. Our parents think I'm being too harsh because family helps family. But honestly, at what point do you cut ties? At what point does helping just become enabling? When I posted my first story about Ethan selling my company car, I honestly thought that was the climax of the insanity. I thought the fallout would calm down after I told my company everything, covered part of the loss, and made it clear to Ethan that I was done enabling him. I was wrong. Things have only gotten worse. The family backlash. After I refused to bail Ethan out, my parents called me. I was expecting support. Instead, I got guilt-tripped. My mom. Honey, he made a mistake. He's your brother. You can't just abandon him. My dad. Look, I know what he did was wrong, but blood is blood. He'll get killed if you don't help. I couldn't believe it. I reminded them. Ethan didn't just borrow something. He committed fraud. I nearly lost my job. I'm already thousands out of pocket. Their response? Silence, followed by. You've always had it easier than him. You've always been more stable. Can't you share some of that with your brother? That cut deep. Easier. Stable. I've worked my *** off for years. Ethan has coasted through life making reckless choices. But in their eyes, he's the troubled baby who always deserves another chance. Ethan shows up. A week later, Ethan showed up at my apartment unannounced. He looked like hell, pale, bags under his eyes, twitchy. He claimed he was being threatened by people he owed money to, and he begged me to let him crash for just a night. Against my better judgment, again, I let him in. I didn't want him sleeping on the street. But within hours, I regretted it. He rummaged through my fridge without asking. He smoked inside, even though I told him not to. And he started hinting about money. Bro, if you could just float me like $2,000, I swear I could fix all this. They'd back off. I just need a little breathing room. I laughed bitterly. $2,000. He already blew 6 from selling the car, and now he wanted more. When I told him no, he sulked like a child. Then he flipped it on me. If you hadn't told your company, none of this would have happened. You didn't have to snitch. That's when I lost it. Ethan, you sold a car that wasn't yours. You forged paperwork. You put me in this mess. Don't you dare blame me. He stormed out that night, slamming the door so hard it cracked the frame. The threats. 2 days later, I got a call from an unknown number. A man's voice said, "Tell your brother he better pay what he owes, or we're coming to collect. Maybe we collect from family too." My blood went cold. These weren't just friends, these were dangerous people. I reported the call to the police, but without concrete proof, they couldn't do much. Still, the fear was real. I started double-checking my locks, watching my back, avoiding going out late. And you know what Ethan did when I confronted him about it? He shrugged. "They're bluffing. Don't worry about it. They won't come after you." Easy for him to say. He didn't care about the mess spilling into my life. The work pressure. Meanwhile, my company was still breathing down my neck. They were trying to recover the car or at least part of the value. They involved lawyers. I had to attend multiple meetings where I basically had to prove my own innocence. One executive even said, "You should consider cutting ties with your brother permanently. He's a liability." Imagine your boss telling you to go no contact with your own family. That's how serious this was. The breaking point. The final straw came last week. I got home late from work, and guess who was waiting at my door? Ethan. He looked desperate, frantic, almost manic. He begged me to drive him somewhere, wouldn't say where. I refused. He pushed past me into my apartment and started pacing. Then he dropped the bomb. "I need you to co-sign a loan. Just a small one. I'll pay it back this time, I promise." I laughed in disbelief. He still thought I'd put my name on his mess. I told him absolutely not. That's when he snapped. He started yelling, accusing me of abandoning him, of choosing money over family. At one point, he grabbed a glass off my counter and smashed it against the wall. I told him to get out or I'd call the police. He left, but not before spitting out, "You're not my brother anymore." Where I am now. I'm exhausted. Mentally, emotionally, financially. My parents are siding with him, saying I should forgive and forget. My company still hasn't fully settled the issue, and I'm on thin ice. Strangers are calling me, threatening me because of his debts. And Ethan himself? He's spiraling into self-destruction. Part of me feels guilty. He's still my brother. But another part of me knows I can't save someone who doesn't want to be saved. Right now, I'm seriously considering going completely no contact. Changing my number. Blocking him everywhere. If he wants to destroy his life, fine, but I won't let him drag me down with him. I thought things couldn't get any worse after Ethan stormed out of my apartment, smashed a glass, and told me I wasn't his brother anymore. But of course, with Ethan, there's always another layer of chaos waiting around the corner. The family divide. After the blow-up at my apartment, I went no contact for a couple of weeks. I needed space. But my parents weren't having it. They kept calling me, leaving voicemails like, "Ethan is family. You don't turn your back on family. He's going through a rough patch. You're his only hope. If you don't help, whatever happens to him will be on your conscience." I tried explaining that Ethan's problems weren't just bad luck. He chose this path. He chose to sell a car that didn't belong to him. He chose to gamble and get in debt. But in my parents' eyes, he's still the baby of the family who needs protecting. I'm the cold, ungrateful one who doesn't understand. It hurt, not just because they defended him, but because they dismissed everything I was going through. I nearly lost my career. I'm thousands out of pocket. I've been threatened by strangers. And somehow, I'm still the villain. Ethan hits rock bottom. 2 weeks ago, I got a text from an unknown number. Your brother owes us. We know where your parents live. That was the moment it stopped being just his problem. My parents' blind loyalty had officially put them at risk. I drove straight to their house and told them everything, the threats, the danger, the people after him. They finally started to see how serious this was. But instead of cutting him off, they doubled down. My mom actually said, "Then we need to give him whatever he needs to get out of this. If he owes money, we'll figure it out together." I couldn't believe it. They were ready to sacrifice their retirement savings for Ethan's mistakes. The intervention attempt. I decided to try one last time to reason with Ethan. I set up a meeting at a diner. I told him straight. I can't give him money. I won't co-sign loans. The only help I'll offer is finding him a lawyer or rehab program. His response? He laughed. Rehab? For what? I'm not an addict. I just have bad luck. I told him bad luck doesn't make you sell a stolen car, rack up gambling debt, and threaten your own family's safety. He got defensive, slammed his hand on the table, and stormed out. People stared. I sat there shaking, realizing he was too far gone. The law steps in. Last week, the situation finally caught up to him. Apparently, the guy he sold the car to tried registering it, and the paperwork didn't match. Authorities traced it back, and now Ethan is officially under investigation for fraud and theft. Guess who they called first? Me. Because my name is tied to the company that owns the car. I had to sit through another round of questioning, explaining, again, that I wasn't involved, that I'd been the one who reported it. Luckily, I had proof, texts, emails, everything. Still, it felt humiliating. When I told my parents, they broke down. My mom cried. My dad kept shaking his head like he couldn't believe his baby boy could face prison time. And Ethan? He called me from a burner number, furious. You ratted me out. You think you're better than me? You're not. You just got lucky. I'll remember this. That call chilled me. It wasn't remorse. It was resentment. Where things stand. Right now, Ethan is basically on the run. He's couch surfing with friends, avoiding the people he owes money to, and dodging law enforcement. My parents are still in denial, convinced he'll turn his life around if he just gets another chance. Meanwhile, I'm locking down my finances. Beefing up security at my apartment. Trying to repair my standing at work. I've told my parents point blank, if they keep giving him money, I won't bail them out when everything collapses. I can't keep sacrificing myself for Ethan's mess. Part of me mourns the brother I thought I had. But the truth is, that version of Ethan doesn't exist anymore, if he ever did. The dilemma. Here's where I'm stuck. Do I go completely no contact and let him crash, even if that means he might end up in jail, or worse? Or do I keep some minimal involvement, just to protect my parents from his chaos? Because right now, I feel like no matter what I do, I'm losing. If I cut him off, I'm the heartless brother. If I stay, I'm the doormat who keeps enabling him. Red heart, red heart, red heart. When I wrote my last update, Ethan was spiraling, my parents were still clinging to the idea that he could be saved, and I was stuck between guilt and exhaustion. I promised myself I'd share the ending, and after everything that's happened, I think I've finally reached the end of this story. The arrest. It happened sooner than I thought. A few weeks ago, Ethan got picked up by the police. They finally caught him after he tried using another fake name to rent a car. Unbelievable, right? The guy who was already under investigation for fraud went and committed more fraud. When the call came, my parents were devastated. My mom sobbed, saying things like, He doesn't belong in prison. He just needs help. My dad sat there in shock, silent for once. Me? I felt a strange mix of relief and sadness. Relief because the constant chaos was finally over. Sadness because no matter how angry I am, that's still my brother. The court case. Because the car he sold belonged to my company, I had to testify. I sat there in court, explaining how he borrowed it, sold it without permission, forged documents, and left me to clean up the mess. Ethan sat just a few feet away, glaring at me like I'd betrayed him. He didn't look like the brother I grew up with. He looked hollow. His lawyer tried to paint it as a mistake made under pressure, but the evidence was stacked against him. Between the car fraud, the debts, and the threats, there was no denying he had dug his own grave. In the end, the judge gave him a reduced sentence thanks to a plea deal, a couple of years behind bars instead of much longer. The family fallout. My parents still don't fully blame him. They've shifted the blame onto me, saying things like, "If you just helped him with the money, none of this would have happened. You didn't have to testify. You could have protected him." I can't even describe how twisted that feels. They're so blinded by love for him that they refuse to see reality. I didn't ruin Ethan's life. Ethan ruined Ethan's life. So now there's a wall between me and my parents. I visit less. I call less. Every time I see them, the conversation turns into a guilt trip about family loyalty. My company. On the work side, things finally stabilized. My boss accepted that I wasn't complicit, and the company recovered part of the loss through insurance and legal action. I still had to swallow a financial hit, but at least my career survived. My boss even said, "Consider this a lesson. Sometimes, family is the biggest liability." It stung to hear, but he wasn't wrong. Ethan in prison. A month ago, Ethan wrote me a letter. It was messy, rambling, but a few lines stood out. "You chose them over me. You chose money over blood. I'll never forgive you." Not once did he apologize. Not once did he take responsibility. Even sitting in a cell, he was still the victim in his own story. That was the moment I knew for sure, there was nothing left for me to give him. Where I am now. For the first time in years, I feel free. No midnight phone calls, no threats from strangers, no constant dread about what disaster Ethan will create next. Just silence. I still think about him, of course. I wonder if prison will finally force him to face himself. Maybe one day he'll change. Maybe one day he'll realize how much he hurt the people who loved him. But I can't carry that burden anymore. As for my parents, I've set firm boundaries. I told them. I will not discuss giving Ethan money. I will not be guilt-tripped into enabling him. If they choose to keep defending him, that's their decision, but I won't play along. It's painful, but necessary. The final choice. So here's the truth, I've let Ethan go. He's my brother by blood, but that's all. I've spent years being dragged down by his mistakes, sacrificing my peace, my finances, and nearly my career. I can't do it anymore. If he ever gets out and truly wants to rebuild, maybe there's a path to reconciliation. But until then, my answer is simple, I'm done.